Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Felix. I'm joined here by Harry and we're bringing you all the action for map 2. And that will be Train. Of course, we just had all of the action for Dust 2, which was the first map of Able Esports facing off against Dangerous Game. So far, Able Esports looking very, very solid. And now we're going to their map pick. So that's going to be very, very interesting to see how they can kind of keep this game going. What are your thoughts, Harry, on this map pick?
Honestly, I'm a little bit worried for Dangerous Game, right? I think that they came into this showing like a very, very good hand right out of the gate. They had everyone on the same page. They knew what they were doing. They were running these, like, I don't want to say like intricate strats, but you know, like just like the bread and butter ones, the ones that you know work, and that wasn't even on their map pick. So now we move to Train, the map that they picked into, and likely, you know, me and you were talking about this during the break, it's likely going to be a T-side start, and there it is. Well, usually, you know, you'd look at this and you'd be like, oh, well, for Dangerous Game, that's good. You know, they can build up on like this favored side. They can find some confidence. If anything, the CT side start kind of scares me. Not that I think, you know, either side would have been better than the other. It just means that Able can kind of set the pace. They can run their strategies. They can run their executes. And this pistol round is very, very fast right out of the gate. It's a lot of players over towards Pop Dog, but a 5-player stack for Dangerous Game at the A side of the map already. Bomb's gone down and they didn't even clear the site. It's just that wall of smokes that allows for it to come through. And this is a bit of an awkward round for the retake, especially on the back of losing Flora there on her aggression, because now suddenly you're 2-on-3, make that 1v3. Oh, it's not, I'm saying a lot of bad words here if you're a big Dangerous Game fan. And Able, they are going to get that pistol round locked in right out of the gate. So fast, ferocious, good smokes, a wall of smokes that goes down to deny vision from inside the bomb site. It gives that plant over. That was a very, very nice pistol round, and one that's pretty tricky to respond to, even for like a seasoned team, let alone someone who's having to play with like a stand-in right now.
Yeah, definitely gonna be a very rough start here for Dangerous Game. Of course, you kind of hope to pick up that pistol and kind of try to start this game differently. And already with 2 kills coming in from Exile and now a 3rd for Bouchard. Yeah, the pistol round is not looking too great, but they're kind of... Oh, actually, Jelly does manage to pick herself up a Galil, but the damage is kind of dealt, but, well, it's not going to be all of the kills. Sadly, though, I wish maybe Nizel the kill onto Bouchard would have came in maybe kind of late there in the round, maybe potentially taking away another rifle, but that's not going to be the case. So 2-0 now for Able Esports. They keep track of their 3 rifles. And Dangerous Game, I know they kind of bought some util and some pistols in that last round, so money is still kind of low. They need to go for another recap once again. They're onto Deagles, they're onto a Molotov, but that's already Jelly taken out of the round here very early on. And once again, they're going to this A-bomb side. Smokes are up, and I like this positioning here of Flora, kind of trying to sneakily get behind them, but it gets expected. Bouchard was ready for it. Smiley now clearing out Ivy, and it kind of leaves Elle here in a 1 versus 5. What can she do? The answer sadly is nothing. All of them taken out. And, well, that's a very clean and nice round for Able Esports. Their economy can start to build. That's pretty good if you're on the T side.
Yeah, an interesting thing to note there is that Dangerous Game had money to buy in that round, but they actively decided against it because they wanted to move into this first rifle round with all the utility and an AWP on Jelly. It's like very situational, but I like the decision to go for that. It shows that they really feel like this AWP is like a key point of this defense, and on top of that, you know, that they understand the importance of this utility going into main, especially early on, just to deny any of these fast A plays that have kind of been what we've seen a lot from Able in these first few rounds. And so already, like, okay, yeah, they lose Flora out of the gate. That's definitely not ideal. But they throw the mollies in towards main, and that's going to that's denied rather all of this presence into the A bomb site. And so it's kind of like forced Able to have to meet the pace of Dangerous Game. They've had to slow this round down a hell of a lot. one kind of inevitable outcome here was that on the back of losing Flora early, one of these sites gets weaker as a result. And early on, it was this B bomb site, but now a bit of utilities come in here. And so now for someone like Jelly, you're in a bit of like a weird spot. You're having to be this swing player between A and B, playing this connector. And with the smokes now going in, she's going to be hard pressed to find much on the back of the AWP. Ellie does a good job of holding down the site. Jelly bypasses the smoke, misses the second follow-up shot. But right now, problem is that Bouchard is in this site alone, and Sai's already wrapping down through the round, so she could end this whole round right now. She gets that kill, and for Kimmy, in the 1v2, there's not really any chance. They can just stick the defuse. She's too far away to stop it. So, dangerous game. They get a hold back on that round very, very nicely, from being 4-on-5 down to actually closing out with 2 surviving. And it's a little bit awkward, you know, like you hate to see that one slip by for Able, but it was a very, very nice response from Dangerous Game, especially this B site hold from Ellie. The fact that she gets both of these players here and a bit of follow-up damage onto the third makes all the difference in the long run.
Yeah, I do understand why Bouchard kind of wanted to go for that bomb plan there. She was low in health, and the chances that she would have been able to survive were very, very slim, so you kind of need to kind of just do and work your magic. Sadly, wasn't long enough. But now, maybe this round will change things once again. Nice quick scope there of Exile, and suddenly this round is looking pretty decent. Bomb now has been planted. And, well, another kill for Smiley and one to top it off. It's a last kill for Exile, and looking very solid. You know, the ARB definitely did his work there. And the entry, once again on A, definitely seems to work. And as long as the util is in place, it kind of seems very, very hard for Dangerous Game to kind of remain controlled over that A bomb side. So
yeah, one of the other problems with this CT side start that we were kind of a little bit rough. That's a little bit rough, but you know, they regained some control, and you know, it's all good. Like, it's not over till it's over. That's the old expression. And yeah, you lose someone early on, but you respond twice as hard and you take 2 away. As I was going to say, like, one of the other problems with this CT side start is not just that you're going to have to kind of meet like these set pieces that Able have in store for you, but it's also the economy on the CT side, especially where CSGO is right now, is just so punishing. You're going to be in these situations a lot. If you're not able to string rounds together, you're going to be in this situation where, you know, like maybe you get like a round here and there, but then if you're losing the follow-up or you're not winning it convincingly, then your money's in like a really bad spot. And for the T's, it's a lot easier for them to dig themselves out of that and, you know, play around it. And so as a result, like these halves can just spiral very, very quickly out of control if you don't get a handle back on things early on. And so I think for me, that's going to be the real test, because if this scoreline keeps building up for Able, say they kind of get to like this, really, I'm thinking about like 8-1, 9-1 kind of scoreline. That's where for Dangerous Game, this entire series can kind of already be decided. Because it just becomes so horrible. Like, you're always making some kind of limitation. Your buys, whenever you do happen, need to be finding success here for the CTs. They really do. I cannot stress that enough. And they have to be pretty clean as well, especially in like any anti-eco rounds if you get given them further down the line. So that's going to be the real test for me. They even hunt down like these saving players. They don't take the AK away, but they get a couple of kills elsewhere. We've got this reinvestment, but now when you look over at the money on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Like, everyone's invested here. They've got the AWPs. They've got all the utility that they could need. But they're still teetering on the edge of having absolutely nothing in this follow-up round. And this is going to be like how this game now begins, with this scoreline being the way it is, unless Dangerous Game can rise to the occasion very, very quickly. So we really need this CT squad to find some success and find it quickly.
Yeah, you can see Dangerous Game now trying to answer with some more control. You know, we have Friday going up close on that Ivy positioning, trying to hopefully catch some info and maybe even a play early on. Sadly, was not the case. Definitely, we do see Flora kind of following up, dealing great damage. We have Kimmy onto 2 HP. Smiley also kind of low. So that kind of keeps them into this round, even though, as far as we look towards the people, we have Abel and Full currently in this round, but still a lot of damage dealt. So it's looking not too shabby, but once again, Yuta will come out. But this positioning of JL is still very good. You know, it's not checked yet. And with all of that heavy Ivy aggression, it's kind of that Able Esports is kind of lost of where to go now. You know that there are some CTs kind of lurking around, but the question is where? And pretty much every single position now doesn't really get expected. JL now pushing up towards the brown holes and making sure that every single player will not get away. And now this is kind of awkward. You know, the bomb is there, the time is low, but Bouchard does manage to pick up another frag. But the question is, time is low. Where will she go? And the answer is B. You need to make it quick. You need to make sure you stay alive. And the rotation is there, but it won't be in time for a bomb to actually kind of get the bomb planter. Oh, and she fakes. But the question is, there's no time anymore. Oh, that's so unfortunate. If she would have staked the first time, she would have been maybe able to make it out alive. But now it is another round for Dangerous Game. And I love this positioning there from L and JL. You know, kind of trying to gain more control on the CT side. You know, kind of generally you kind of start off with a lot on A, but if they don't really push A main, where do you go next? And they kind of did a good job of abusing that. And now in this round, once again, lots of aggression, lots of util here on A. Smiley already trying to get some kills going for herself, but Sapphire with a good trade there. 2 kills already. And now let's see if they can pick up this A bomb site once again. 2v1 now with Flora kind of hiding here in Hell. Does hear the bomb plant. And now she needs to make her way over, gets the first. Oh, when the bomb was being tapped, it wasn't planted just yet, and she does manage to pick up herself also a nice op. And suddenly, you know, the rounds can go quick. Now 2 once again for Dangerous Game, and the scores are creeping in a little bit closer.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's a bit of a disappointing round from Abel, because they knew that Flora was there. Like, she'd already killed someone earlier in the round. She was already involved in a gunfight. So it's a bit of a mystery as to why everyone's just homed in on Pop like that, because, you know, she didn't actually even reposition from where she originally started. So that's like a bit of a head scratcher for me, just a case of miscommunication. I hate to come in as, like, you know, it's always just the bearer of bad news, it feels like, but this is where you're still going to be seeing that problem that I was discussing a few rounds ago, and that is that you need these rounds to be clean, and thus far that just hasn't been the case for Dangerous Game. In both of these rounds that they've been able to pick up, it has come down to just one player surviving over on the CT side, and so they're not out of the woods yet in terms of the money. They're really not, and this round's going to showcase that in a brilliant way. They, or maybe not if you're a Dangerous Game fan, you know, they lose it after winning 2 in a row, but immediately you're back down to being broke. There is nothing for the CTs. And so those victories are very short-lived. Even though you chain a couple of rounds together, it's still Able kind of like chuckling to themselves as they're still the ones in control of this game, and they will be even looking to the future, because they've still got money. They're not in that same spot that Dangerous Game are. So it's horrible to have like these kind of hollow victories that Dangerous Game did. You know, it's still 2 rounds, and rounds are the important thing at the end of the day. But you look at the long game, you think about the money, and that's where things get scary. Sapphire, team killing. I think it was her who did it last time. She loves a bit of a TK.
You just don't need to stand in front of your teammate. That's the answer. But Sapphire, you know, she will eventually save the round here, getting that last kill into side. Yeah, little bit hectic there over in Brown Holes when everyone kind of came up towards ramp and the ladder all at once. It was a nice idea though, you know, kind of trying to, you know, go over aggressive. You know, you have pistols, you have nothing to lose for this round. You might as well try and deal some damage. And that was definitely done, but not enough to kind of harm the economy of Able. You know, they kind of keep doing what they're doing so far, you know, throwing a lot of Utah over on A, trying to kind of maybe see what that does with the CTs. And so far, we see 4 over on this A bomb side once again. They're feeling the heat, they're feeling all of the smokes that are there, and I love the positioning there of Kimmy kind of trying to play around the smokes. But still, it looks like Abel is in control of this round. Bouchard coming in with the flank, and that kind of leaves Elle, and even her, she's been taken care of. Every single angle gets checked, as should. But yeah, Abel Esports looking very, very solid and confident right now.
Yeah, this is a rough spot to be in. They've got pistols here. They got flashes. Might have like a bit of an Ivy presence. They've often been getting one player, usually Kimmy, coming in on these Ivy lurks later in the round. I would have loved to have seen that first flash delayed a bit because no one was ready to peek on the back of it, and all that flash did was give Kimmy the knowledge that they were going aggressive in Ivy. So she just paused her entire play. You know, she didn't get caught by that flashbang. She already moved away. It kind of like gave up the aim of the game a little too soon. Smiley's even lurked in through B, so they're just everywhere on the side of Abel. There's a lot of confidence right now for this T-side squad, and with very, very good reason. So now we got the reinvestment. Guess what's going to happen, though, if this round slips by the wayside? I feel like I've been saying it all game long, and that is that once again, you're out of money. So it's another important one, another must-win round. And finally, we need a clean round because all the rounds that Dangerous Game have picked up so far, they have had one player surviving. And that's why we see them in this very, very rough spot, because the same just cannot be said for Abel. Like, every victory they've had has been very, very clean, and it's only the rounds that they lose, obviously, where no one survives. That kind of goes without saying now that I think about it. But here we go. It's an advantage taken early on for Dangerous Game, and that's thanks to Elle going aggressive over here at the B bomb site. She stripped one away. Jelly just gonna miss that, but not the second time around. And so there's a good chance here that Dangerous Game can pick up a round and maybe even keep it clean.
Okay, with the close angle, spots the elbow, and bye by Flora. And Abel Esports not out of the round yet. There is still a minute left to work with, and Kimmy kind of got, you know, a free game here. She can kind of sneak into CT, and she has the info. Oh, but Sai, with of course that one kill coming in an Ivy, Sai was ready for it and is looking behind her. Sadly, it looked like such a good play could have come out of that. But it's not going to be the case. This time, Dangerous Game are wary of all the crazy things that Abel Esports might be able to pull off. And it kind of leaves Bouchard and Sapphire now. They need to go in, and already a nice kill there from Sapphire, kind of leaving Elle here to kind of do it all. And coming in from Oil's not going to be enough yet to kind of stop the bomb plant, but Jelly still alive, and JL, look at that. The headshots come in flying, and the retake is definitely there. And this is a round that was very important because A, you kind of needed that. The thing is, though, it was once again costly. You know, 3 people falling, but we do still see that double up. So at least you don't have to reinvest in those. Yeah, and it all
this is what I want to be seeing, like a bit more of this aggression out of the gate. I like that, right? Like Ellie gets the advantage early on, and you just see the effect that has on Abel. Like suddenly, they're in an unfamiliar spot where they're the ones having to try and take the initiative, having to try and take these advantages away. It led to Exile getting like a little bit overzealous at trying to reclaim that 5-on-4 into a 4-on-4 with the pick down through Olaf. Jelly as well, for someone who came into this on very, very short notice as a stand-in, I was worried that she was going to look a little bit wobbly, if you pardon like the hidden joke there, with her being Jelly, obviously. I was worried that she was going to come into this like looking a little bit rough, but no, she's been someone who I think has been instrumental to a lot of these rounds for Dangerous Game. She's good at taking these advantages, and in this round, once again, it's an early kill for Dangerous Game. But while this has gone on, the B site has actually fallen, and for Abel, they're not even in a spot where they have to commit to B necessarily. Just the presence of these 2 players here is enough to completely disrupt this hold over at the A side of the map. And they only saw 1 get into B, so they actually haven't rotated many players on round, and that bomb now has made its way into the site and will get planted. So they're a little ways away. Smiley, as she often does, has like a really good sense of like knowing where she can kind of push and prod on the map. And so it's another big lurk from her. She gets caught there by Flora. And so we're back into this 3-on-3. Now turn 2-on-3. So that's going to shut down another. It's all on to Kimmy in a blink of an eye. 1v2 required. She does deal with JL up here in the halls. And now she's just got to try and defend this bomb.
Well, the thing is, Sai's already on the bomb, and the bomb is now defused. She does at least manage to take away all the guns. So as far as economy goes, it's not looking too great for Dangerous Game. But at least they do have yet another round under their belt. Oh, and look at Sai was doing quite a lot of work there for the team, and eventually, you know, it looked pretty solid. But once again, it gets so close, the money is just not there to back it up, and that leaves us once again with an auto shotgun and a P90 on the CTs. But hey, the auto shotgun definitely do its work here. Already 2 kills, and she can very soon upgrade to that nice 8K. And this is technically not necessary, but Dangerous Game are feeling a little bit cheeky. You know, trying to push pretty much everything, but Sapphire is still alive. Keep track of her, because she does have that 8K. But, you know, I mean, a 1 versus 4. This should definitely be the round for Dangerous Game.
Yeah, especially with the bomb dropped in Pop Dog, right? Like, no matter how well she does getting out into the A site, it was always going to be a pretty much impossible round. So 6 at the end of the first half of play, that's a very good recovery when you think about the fact that they were, what, 6-1 down at one point in time on the Dangerous Game side. So they've stumbled back to their feet. Can they pick it up on the T side, or are Able going to run away with this series in 2? I don't know. I'm not someone who can predict the future. You'll have to tune in after a quick break if you want to catch it.
My crew, yeah, we're lawless. Got the man, them thinking that we're flawless. Yeah, mama told you that I'm gorgeous. Got a million tricks, can't deport us. I'm a flame in the start to be gassed. Back foot slide, yeah, I'm slick to the mask. Calling to the tribe, it's a revolution past. Present in time, no, we can't be masked. So you better rise up, collapse up, shout out loud. Down before the time's up. So we better rise up, collapse up, shout out loud. Down before the time's up. If we break bread, then I'm coming like a eeler. If you want beef, then I tom beater. If you want beef, then I tom. 789, that's procedure. If we break bread, then I'm coming like a eeler. If you want beef, then I tom beater. If you want beef, then I tom.
Welcome back here at Train. It's Able Esports versus Dangerous Game. So far, once again, it's looking pretty solid for Able Esports, but this time it is a little bit closer, and maybe Dangerous Game can pull off something very dangerous, as the name goes, on this T side. We do see once again some nice views, and I love to see that on a map like Train. It worked for Able Esports, but the question is, will it also work for Dangerous Game? Smokes are going to be lining up and flashes to accompany as well. And once again, all the CTs are pretty much here, and they're ready to the side, but JL coming in with the flank, 2 kills for her, 1 for L, and that kind of leaves Sapphire now last alive. Yeah, kind of a hard task, but maybe she can pull something off. It's 2 kills now for her, and that kind of leaves her now in a 1 versus 2. So things are definitely possible. She does have armor, but the thing is, no kid nor a flashbang. And sadly, with 2 people peeking at the same time, that kind of means you're end pretty much. So, dangerous game now with the pistol round, and the score lines are creeping closer and closer.
Yeah, they are, and I'm getting a little bit worried because, you know, the 3-player rotation in 3Con, like everyone, literally everyone is dedicated to holding those smokes. Like no one's even considering that in amongst all this chaos, someone could have gone aggressive in through the back, and that allowed JL to just kind of tear everyone apart. There is a lot of firepower in this round still for Able, and they've spotted feet. They've seen all there is to see at this B bomb site, so they know it's a B play right out of the gate. Bouchard gonna dig down 1, looking for a little bit more. She's hidden in this smoke. The scout is gonna find another. Kimmy holding for the crosses, and it's actually Exile that we should be on if we want to see some scout action, because she's found a double. And with both these players tagged down low, the nade's gonna finish off 1. Kimmy comes in. My goodness, that round there gets laid to rest very, very quickly, and you might not even realize that it was Dangerous Game who won the pistol with how decisive that victory is in the follow-up round. That force buy works absolutely brilliantly for Able. There were a few like key moments there in that round. Like firstly is, I think it was Kimmy spotting players over towards rafters. Bouchard also sees 2 sets of feet down towards ramp. And so very, very early, you get this information that there's at least 3 players over towards B. And that just led to like this full 5 stack in towards that site. Exile there goes above and beyond with the scout to take 3 players down. And so Dangerous Game, good start in the pistol, but a really, really rough follow-up round. Now, Sapphire, does she survive this? It's yeah, I don't think so. She gets taken down, and she's going to get the info that there's a lot of players down here towards Ivy. They try and run the gauntlet through that Molotov, and they will get players by, now sleeping into CT, and there's actually no one really ready to respond to this for Able, but luckily enough, they're able to cut them down on these crosses. And so they've been able to sweep that one under the rug as well, 11-7. But the reinvestment looming now for Dangerous Game.
Man, Able is back up with the confidence, you know, already coming in with that force buy. You know, they are having a lead. You know, you can eco and then still pick it up when you have the full buy. But they're saying no. Eventually now we do see a little bit more rifles. We have 2 people now onto an M4. And over on the T side, we do see the majority on AKs and 1 cheeky sort of. Let's see what that can do. Oh, and the panic comes in kind of as soon as Flora is hearing a lot of footsteps coming away and flashes as well. And I like that Able is now kind of taking that control, and as soon as pretty much this T's kind of want to trade, they're kind of hesitant, like, should we go for this or shouldn't we? And eventually that kind of trade came a little bit too late. CTs were already back on the site. And now that leaves us with a 5 versus 3 in a kind of a tough spot for Dangerous Game to be in.
Yeah, this one should be all said and done. Bouchard and Exile, they're going to combine to deal with the players in main. Ellie's purchase there was a little bit curious as well. I'm not against the shotgun buys. I actually love a shotgun buy, but I think Train is like the one map in the world, especially T-side, where they're pretty useless, like all things considered. The only spot I can see you getting away with a sawn-off kill is like a pop drop, right? Where you go down pop dog, you try and surprise the CT moving in. That's really it. Like, and the fact that she took it towards Ivy, I think that round was pretty doomed for her from the beginning.
Yeah.
Plus, like the sawn off out of all the shotguns, right? Like, just have a little aside while this tac pause is on. The sawn off is by far, I think, the worst shotgun in the game. I just can never think of a situation where it's very good. There's like the one thing that I can think of is like someone like Snacks used to buy it, and JW does this as well on Nuke, and like goes for a vent drop and then holds the vents for players to drop down in rotation. That is like the one spot where that gun maybe, and even then it's a maybe because shotguns are so random. can get away with anything. So that's a bit of a weird one. Now we have this B play, or at least an attempt at it, but Exile is already holding this upper area. Smiley is wrapping in from behind. These rotations have been so good for Able when they're up against these weakened buys on the T side. There's a lot of confidence. Everyone's on the same page. They already knew what was going on in that round before Dangerous Game or even like halfway to being in position. So that's a very, very good sign for this CT side.
I mean, you know, if you want to rush a bomb site, you might as well go for B. It's a little bit quicker, you can get there faster, and the bomb plan is definitely a little bit easier than on the A bomb site. Less in the open, a bit more cover. But sadly, you know, you don't want to have Exile there over at Brown Holes. The ARP is just simply very, very deadly. And now with that smoke being there, and things delaying a little bit, Sapphire can just safely spray through it, not a lot of fire in return. And that's already a nice first kill, and I'm not sure where all that damage came from. It would have probably been a nade, but that was a real good one. Flora down to 11 HP, and Elwa is now fallen as well. It kind of leaves, you know, as far as health goes, definitely Able in a little bit of a better spot. But the round is not over just yet. Flora is now going to creep into this bomb site. Not quite connecting the shot yet, but eventually she will. And now that leaves them in a little bit more of an advantage. Sapphire's mollied off, and Kimmy is smoked off. So this retake kind of gets delayed a little bit, but now, as soon as pretty much everything fades, they can make it happen. First kill now for Kimmy. Sapphire will follow it up, and it kind of leaves JL now here on E-Box. And her position was already being revealed, so the Molotov will take care of her. She needs to peek, and that's great util usage from Able there to take care of the retake. You know, just play it slowly, wait for all the util to be gone, and that in that case the T's don't have a lot anymore, and make great use out of it. So now Able Esports just 2 rounds away from going up into the upper bracket, and Dangerous Game have a tough job now.
Yeah, they really do. Like, suddenly there's no room for error, and that's a very scary place to be. That was the collateral there, but not the killing blow onto Exile. That's still a really nice way to start this game. Or this round, rather. The game is already well and truly underway, and there's the response attempted from Bouchard, but she's now trapped behind the E-box. Oh my goodness, she's getting pressured from everywhere. She gets away with a lot of damage, but not a kill at any point in time. And so that's a little bit rough, but maybe softening up these players for her teammates is going to come in handy. They've got it back into a 3-on-3. Flora, pushing close, has this round in the palm of her hand. She deals with these players down in Ivy. And this leaves Kimmy now, 1v3. Not able to find anything there with connector smoked off. She's going to go ahead and save. One thing that should feel very, very apparent is that Able, in a lot of these situations where they're like 1v3, 1v2, they give it a go, they give it a look in, but then they're also not afraid to write a round off and just kind of admit defeat and hold on to this AWP. And so, you know, combining that with the fact that they've gotten off to a really good start means that their money is never going to find itself in that same awkward spot that Dangerous Games did in the first half of play. I thought a lot of the time in that CT side, Dangerous Game were going for like these retakes in like 1v4s, and you know, I appreciate the confidence to try and go for it, but if you just play that round by the numbers, you know, you need to know that some rounds are just unwinnable. And you know, Able, admittedly, they've got a bit of a buffer, right? So they can afford to make these decisions, and maybe for Dangerous Game, they didn't want to give that same respect over, but it definitely hurt them a lot over on the CT side. Here, reinvestment in for Able, still plenty of money. Plenty of money maybe being a bit of an overstatement, but still a buy left in the bank account, even if they lose this round. And that's like, that's a little grace that the Dangerous Game didn't have all CT side long. So a bunch of smokes going into this A bomb site. This is an A execute if you've ever seen one. They get up over here in main. They've cut the site in two. Bouchard is effectively alone here. No one really nearby can help her out with this wall of smokes being down. Smiley spots Jelly, and now this bomb looking to go down, but it gets denied by Smiley back in the bomb train, and this wall of smokes has actually come back to hurt Dangerous Game. The AWP comes alive and brings it back into a 2v1. Exile doesn't know where to look. They are all around her. Finds the first. Now just Ellie, but the nade is going to do it. And Dangerous Game, they'll get a 9th on the board.
Yeah, that was super close, and probably Abel was not really expecting that. You know, we've seen the majority of the util plays coming out from Abel, not the other way around. But I like to see this, and definitely, you know, we're seeing Sai stepping up with that up, and you know, it proves that the double up setup it can work on Train. Maybe not always, but in this case, it's looking not too shabby. Of course, they still need a few more rounds in order to kind of get back in the game. And a little bit unfortunate there for Smiley. I thought she was maybe still going to get it as soon as kind of like the flash faded in front of her eyes. But still, you know, the flashbang did enough to make sure that one kill is secured. And now, oh, this might get awkward. The position of Sapphire was not expected at all. And the thing is now, of course, the T's know where she is, and the question is, does she know how close Flora is? The answer is no. She was already wrapping around, and now, once again, Abel in kind of a tough spot. Of course, they kind of can afford to lose this round. You know, investment is not too great. We have Kimmy on a scout and Deeg on to Bouchard, but still, things do get competitive in this round. We have a 2 versus 3 on our hands.
If Abel are fast, they could actually look to end this round, but you know they've kind of had to pause, and this has given time to JL to come in on the flank. There were 2 players for Dangerous Game over at the A site, and that effectively just left the bomb planter in B alone. You know, if they were able to find that kill quickly and get on the bomb, which, you know, like relies a lot on having that information, which obviously Abel didn't. That round still could have eluded Dangerous Games. So it was closer than maybe it necessarily needed to be. But that lurk ends up showing its worth there at the very, very end. It denies that 2-on-3 from ever happening or ever being given a chance to happen. And so now we go back to this wall of smokes over at the A bomb site. Now, the last time we saw this, it was a bit of a mixed bag of results. Thankfully, Ellie was able to get it over the line. Bouchard is back in the same position over in the sandwich. Last time she was here, she got away with 1 and then got dropped. And it's the same case again. She isn't ready for this aggression that comes through time after time. Sapphire, though, going to win her fight down on Ivy, and Smiley just spraying away, claims another. Kimmy's even wrapping in through top, and she deals with the first, follows up with the second. Defuse is found, and it's 15 on the board for Abel, keeping 4 players alive.
Well, with just Bouchard dropping, you know, it kind of once again looks scary because the last time she was dropped, you know, it didn't look too great. You know, they were losing that round and things kind of slipped away out of their hands. But this time, they recovered really well. Made use of their usual on their positioning, kind of worked around as soon as all the smokes kind of started to fade on the site. And of course, you're not kind of looking at every single smoke that you have laying on the site. You want to have your eyes on that bomb train. Kind of, you know, Abel are still trying to get in the heads of Dangerous Games. So far, it's definitely working out. So now they're on match point. And they only need 1 more round to go into that upper bracket. Oh, and this time, Bouchard, this time over in Hot Dog, is blind and eventually will re-peek. And that's actually kind of smart because she did it together with a teammate, just in case, because she was kind of still blind. And the positioning was a little bit off, but it still looks very solid. Every single time a player now drops on the Abel side, it will get traded very instantly. Oh, and now Smiley with another one to follow it up. And she's looking for more. She's waiting here at Ivy, and that's exactly where the last 2 players of Dangerous Game are going to be sitting. A flash will come in, but it's not going to do enough. JL was a little bit blind, but eventually she will still get away with the kill. And, well, eventually it kind of leaves Sai in a 1 versus 2, and you can see the panic happening there. The shot's not quite connecting, and she is just on to 10 health now. Kind of chilling for a little bit, take a breath. But time is running out. She does have the bomb. She needs to make a decision now where to go to. She's hoping someone would peek, and this is interesting. You know, we have Exile running over towards B just in case. So that means Abel are trusting their players to take this on 1v1, and it's happening. You know, time was running out. Kimmy will take the last kill, and Abel Esports will continue into the upper bracket. We're not saying goodbye, though, to Dangerous Game just yet. They do have yet another shot, as it is double elimination. But it was definitely a very strong performance there of Abel.
Yeah, it really was, right? And I do just think that like the experience, the tenure of a few players here and there really did shine through. Like in terms of how Abel were approaching the game, they really were taking like the stance of a professional team, and there weren't many cracks for you to find there on the other side, right? So yeah, it wasn't like the worst of games for Dangerous Game to come in. The fact that they were able to get Train close when it wasn't their map pick, I think, is a good sign. And obviously then you bear in mind that they were playing with Jelly, who of course was the stand-in for this squad on very short notice. I don't think you can be too disappointed. You know, you're up against a team that have been together for a little bit now, that they all looked on the same page. And so it's understandable that maybe you struggled a bit, you know, having 4 or 5 player roster in the server. All in all, though, I do think that what we saw from Abel was some very good Counter-Strike. It was very clean. They played very like just bread and butter strategies, but they knew exactly what they were doing. And if they can keep that up, then yeah, I do think they can be a little bit dangerous here over in the NA group. What did you make of it, Bia?
Yeah, I mean, I have not seen these two teams perform yet, so it was just exciting to see them in general. Of course, we kind of know Bouchard a little bit better, so it was very fun to see her stepping up today as kind of like expected. But it wasn't just the Bouchard, so, you know, we saw more players stepping up, and I'm very interesting to see because Abel are going into the upper bracket, and they will face Dignitas later on today. So keep your eyes on that one. But for now, we will take a little bit of a break, and once the break is done, you will have Frankie back together with our 2 analysts. So keep on watching, and we'll see you back soon.
It's alright together all our lives. A new start is inside. We're falling, it feels right. It's okay to hold me. You know where I wanna be. It's okay to hold me. Take me to places, just one touch amazes. I'm all yours, no questions. I'm broken, affection. It's okay to hold me. You know where I wanna be. It's okay to hold me.
Welcome back to the DreamHack Showdown Summer 2020. And well, it was done in simply 2 maps for Abel Esports White as they took down Dangerous Game. And Foster, it's what we were expecting, wasn't it?
It was what we were expecting. I gotta say, there were some promising moments. I mean, we saw on this train, there were a few rounds towards the end of that first half where you saw that Dangerous Game, they were actually starting to make it interesting. 6 rounds on the board after the slow start that they had, I think it was a little bit enough. I mean, they even won the second pistol going into that second half. So definitely setting themselves up for somewhat of a competitive map. But you saw it, man. Towards the end there, Bouchard, she was just having her way. She was winning every single duel that came her way. If you look at the stats, she went 8 for 1. 8 for 1 in her duels, almost winning out every single one. I did notice, though, on the CT side of things, that kind of became a crux as well. I think Bouchard, she knew in her head that she was just better straight up than her opponents in that server. But that was almost her crux because she just was in so many one and done spots on the CT side of things, whether it was sandwich, whether it was towards the ladder room. She was all by herself and she was good for one, but 1-for-1 trades there will always favor the T side. So I would have loved to see her put herself in somewhat of better positions. But either way, I think for Bouchard, she just knew that she was better.
Well, Potter, do you think, given that she's going up against her former teammates Dignitas in their next series that's coming up, the series after next, do you think we're going to see her play a bit more conservative and maybe respect her opponents a bit more?
I think so. I mean, surely she should, right? Because as I said, if she is in those positions, a team like Dignitas, they're going to punish her even more so than we saw Dangerous Games. So for sure, for Bouchard's sake, I think because in her mentality, it will shift. That match is going to be a little bit more sweet if she's able to actually pull away some sort of an upset. So that shift in play style, Frankie, I think you're right. We're definitely going to see it coming out of Bouchard because she's not going to get away with plays like that.
Bilger, what did you think of Dangerous Game? Oh, I'm going to have to hold that thought because we've got Kimmy on the line from Able Esports White. Hi, Kimmy. First of all, thank you so much for joining us. And
thank you for having me.
How are you feeling about winning your opening game here at the DreamHack Showdown?
It feels kind of good. I think going into it, we were kind of, nervous a little bit. Like you could tell, like if you were to be in the Discord, you could tell our comms were a little bit sloppy. But we got the hang of it, like towards the mid round of like on Dust 2. But I think I don't know. For me, it just feels good to win.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And did you anti-strat any teams?
Sorry?
Did you anti-strat any teams? And what is your approach going to be against Dignitas?
For the first game that we played, Dangerous Game, we didn't really do any anti-stratting because we know that they didn't have... they didn't practice as much as we did. I don't think they played like a season together at least like we did.
Yeah.
So I think we trusted a lot on like the strats that we already have. And I think one of the things that we did was, to be proactive to the things that they do and how to counter them. So that's literally all we did. And then as for Dignitas, I think it's going to be a real, not going to lie, it's going to be a real hard match for us. But I think if we, like I said, like if we continue on being proactive, if we continue to communicate, and have like just like the mood up, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be able to give them, somewhat of a fight.
Kimmy, I'm not so familiar with you and also Sapphire, but I noticed in that server, man, you guys had some crispy aim. And I got to ask, how's it been feeling like competing at this level? I think even this past ESEA Open season, it was your first season kind of playing together, making it all the way to playoffs. What's that experience been like for you guys?
I think, I don't know about, I think Sapphire's played a few LANs, OSG, she's played on DreamHack Showdown as well last year. But for me, it was a good experience because it's my first like actual tournament, actual big tournament in the female scene. And I think, I don't know, all I wanted to do is go out there and prove that I'm worthy of playing competitive Counter-Strike in, in the female scene.
Let's go, girl.
Yeah, and you've absolutely done that. I mean, you were 24 for 10, I believe, at the end of train. What kind of edges Bouchard brought to the team? Because she is someone who's got a lot of experience on the NA scene, and we've seen her play with many of the other players in different teams on this tournament. So has she taught you anything about competing at this level?
I think in terms of my relationship with Bouchard, I know that I know that she trusted me, and I know that the team trusts her, and I guess that just brings into the team like a good team environment. Like even though when I make mistakes, it happens, but like I think she brings that some sort of like comfort into the team that allows us to fully play to our potential. And even when she wants to make a play, we'll just play around her. We'll be like, okay, we'll support you with these nades, and sort of thing. So I think having her in the team just adds into the comfort, like an overall team environment.
Well, Kimmy, thank you so much for talking to us, and we'll see you playing later on today against Dignitas. Good luck.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Good luck.
She was firstly great to talk to, and also really interesting to hear that the team is basically playing around Bouchard, even though she only joined them in June. And Potter, you've got a drawing board round for us that demonstrates Bouchard's effectiveness on train.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes perfect sense, right? Because multiple times, as I mentioned, we saw Bouchard just winning out her duels and just kind of having her way, even if it wasn't the most ideal circumstances. So that's definitely her skill, just kind of pulling her out. On this round in particular, if we take a look towards Ivy, you're going to see Kimmy, she's applying some pressure. Now, she's just garnered some contact, taken some damage. And at this point, she's already done enough, but she even buys a little bit of time, and she's going to go through the normal Ivy set piece of utility that we generally see. But all the while, take a look at Bouchard towards this inner. She's already taken her way out towards this inner. She's won this duel multiple times. She knows she has the edge on L, so she's just going to take it. And look at all the ground and space she's collecting from just the single play itself. You're going to see the shift coming out of all of Abel at this point, running across the map, Sapphire putting on her Nikes, bringing that bomb to the inner bomb site. Now, at this point, if you take a look at this mini map, you're going to realize there's really just no way that Dangerous Games should be able to get themselves back into this round with all the map that they're winning and gaining. But actually, this is where Able Esports lose out the round. So at this point, I think Able Sports, they kind of let go some of these rounds that they had full control in. But once again, you just saw Bouchard just having her way in that server multiple times.
And we're seeing some very strong individuals. I mean, it was great to talk to Kimmy there. She's obviously a player with a lot of potential on the side of Able. But what about Dangerous Game? Because there was occasional moments we saw on both Dust 2 and Train where they actually did launch into an execute. It worked out probably better on Train, I would say. Are they good enough individually, Bilger, to play that independently of one another?
I can't say this. To be honest, like, I was really surprised to see their city side on Dust 2. The way they approached A side, and long control overall, they would just split, you know? They would have one person picking A house with just M4, one going into short. And I didn't see much of the team play from Dangerous Game. But at the same time, we saw these aggressive moves, you know, that they had. They were fearless. Even on Train, they would just push pop together. They would push lower and pop. They had this, you know, aggressive plays. And also they could always turn the round into their advantage. And of course, I think it's a mistake from Able Esports, because like Potter said, they had this advantage many times. And I think they even lost 5v3 rounds or 5v2, you know, this kind of rounds that you should never like slip off your hand. And if they work on this kind of rounds against Dignitas, I think they can, like, it's going to be a fair game. It's going to be an interesting game to watch.
Well, we'll see Dangerous Game fight for their survival in the DreamHack Showdown tomorrow. And of course, we've got our upper bracket semi-final between Dignitas and Able Esports White coming up later today. But right now, we need to take a short break before we head into our second quarterfinal of the day.